Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. And Walz is the most interesting white. Yeah! Yeah! All right. Son of a gun. That makes me very pleased. The stream proper is going to start in a few moments, and not terribly long after that, I'm going to be on with John from San Antonio and this one guy, you might have heard of him. His name is Matt, I want to say Strackbein? I guess it depends what part of the country you're from. The Letter Hack. And we're going to do another round of primary election coverage. I'll be interested in seeing what on earth is the deal with Michigan's 13th district. Polls close at 8, and so we will be seeing what's up there. Meanwhile, Dearborn had some local ordinances on the ballot. I'm going to watch those, and I don't think John or Matt will care, but I'll shoehorn it into the conversation. In the meantime, this right, Cha, is a campaign event with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, her VP pick. Yes, the anti-corporatist, that's right. It's the ladder shark. The ladder shark. The anti-corporatist, you should do the Neil Patrick Harris mustache one from, A Million Ways to Die in the West next. You're right. Yeah. Good on you. I might get a copyright strike for that, but it's worth trying. Good to see the anti-corporatist. Good to see you, Pinkerbell. I do want to talk just a wee bit about what the pick means, what the pick of Tim Walz means. I said this when we were laying it out earlier. Sorry, I had a Jack Russell Terrier napping on my jacket. It happens. When we were talking about what each one of these cats would do, and what Shapiro would have meant would be that Democrats learn nothing from their many losses to easy to beat opponents. That's what Shapiro would have meant. It would have meant that the Democrats didn't understand who they need voting for them, or rather, who does vote for them. People that actually pay attention to policy. It would have meant that they would have been so desperate to win Pennsylvania that they would have taken a hit in 2 other states. That's not who they picked. They picked Tim Walz. Tim Walz is satisfactory to progressives. Not exactly a great hero of theirs, necessarily, just satisfactory. Good. He's a charming white man. He's got pretty good policy. He listens to his kids from time to time. He is evidence, as is, frankly, the candidacy of Kamala Harris, that Democrats are learning. And I mean the Democrats as a whole are learning. Nancy Pelosi, from the jump, was trying to get rid of Biden because she learned. My understanding is that there wasn't the usual aligning against anybody with even slight decency to them from the Democrats this time either. When it came to Walz, they weren't stacked against him. They were open to the idea. Oh, there's a strategy with Walz. Okay. Because Democrats are finally learning. Now, it of course took them until their own butts were threatened. They refused to learn when they were taking bribes from billionaires. And the only people that were getting harmed were you and me. They didn't give a shit then. But now that Project 2025 looms and Trump has already refused to give up power once, now they care. Now they give a damn. Now they're competent. But don't let my bitterness take this moment away from you. This is a good moment. This is the future arriving. Tim Walz will turn out the progressive vote. This ties in directly with the uncommitted movement. They were watching this pick. They gave a damn. The CNN watchers of the world, they would have been for Shapiro because what they've been told about Shapiro is very different from reality. I've spoken with people who watch CNN. They think they think Shapiro is what Tim Walz actually is. They think he's like, oh yeah, center left, very reasonable person, and yada yada yada. In fact, he's center right at best, and in favor blindly of supporting anything Israel does because it's Israel doing it. Because AIPAC gives them money to think that way. Doesn't matter that the international criminal courts are saying, nah, it looks like Netanyahu's committing war crimes and you're helping him. So, one thing they didn't feel was anger towards Tim Walz. That's huge. In the past, Democrats would have happily picked the candidate that would have angered progressives for the same reason that Republicans would pick a candidate that angers Democrats in general. Centrist Democrats viewed, up until this moment in history, they viewed pissing off progressives as a positive. To them, that was a benefit. If you said progressives will hate this, they'll go, oh, thank God, good. Well, that's it then. We got to go for it. One thing we don't ever want to do is make progressives satisfied in any way, because that'll be a liability to us. This group over here that will never vote for us under any any scenario. This group over here hates it when progressives like things. So we have to do everything in our power to try to convince this group over here that says they will never vote for us, no matter what. This group over here that does not pay attention to the news in any serious way, that doesn't have any understanding of how the U.S. government works, that has terrible policy ideas, that wants to specifically murder a big chunk of the people that we rely on to stay in power. This group over here loves it when we anger progressives. So that's who we must please, because we're morons. That used to be how they behaved. Now, the world is different. Today, the world is different. Very different than it was yesterday. I was practically falling over myself watching GNN when I saw the news that black SUVs were spotted outside Tim Walz's home at about the same time on the timeline there that they were spotted outside of J.D. Vance's home. Walz ended up saying, no. These are state cars. This is not what it very much looks like. And yet, you sure? Because our boy's VP now. This is credit. This should be credited to Kamala Harris. Ultimately, just like Biden stepping down should be credited to Joe Biden, even if you don't like the man. This was ultimately his decision to step down, and it was ultimately Kamala Harris's decision to pick her VP. She just demonstrated the ability to see which way the wind is blowing, an understanding of the temperament of the American people, a respect for the opinions of progressives, as well as for the amount of knowledge that the average Democratic voter has. Only a few years ago, this would have been an unheard of pick. With a swing state on the line, not picking somebody directly from that swing state. But it's almost as though, I swear, I'm nervous to say it. It's almost as though they realize, finally, that people are not so simple. At least Democratic voters are not so idiotic. There's horrible people from my state. There are people from my state. Let me put it like this. I will vote for Alyssa Slotkin in this upcoming election. Almost guaranteed. She's a senator from my state. I will vote for her. But if it was between her and who else from Minnesota? Ilhan Omar. I'm going Omar. I mean, I like Omar's politics more than Slotkin's. I think I would be angry if people accused me of not being a fan of my state. Huge fan. I'm not, though, blinded to people's politics. That's the average Democratic voter. The average Democratic voter these days votes Democrat because they understand policy, at least to some degree. They view politics a little bit better. I gotta tell you, it's been a hell of a 2 weeks, hasn't it? Let's see what the wicked community has to say. The anti-corporatist, we hope that everybody knew it. Like I said, apparently it's still anguished Kamala Harris until the last minute. Maybe it did. Maybe it was a hell of a decision the whole time. On the other hand, I would say it's equally likely that she had decided within a couple of days of actually announcing it, and no matter what, she was going to, try to spare the feelings of the other two. Imagine she would have said the opposite. Imagine she would have said, "Oh no, I knew Thursday. Definitely, it wasn't even close." The candidate I picked, I like so much more. I think is so much better than the other two. You've already done one candidate a compliment by picking them. There's no need to turn it also into an insult for two others. You say, "Oh, it was close. It was very close." On the other hand, if she was anguishing over the decision, she might have been anguishing over it for very good reason as well. I'm playing devil's advocate for Harris here because I think I think she's earned with her decision so far the benefit of at least hearing out of patience and yeah, that's the word, the benefit of the doubt. I think she's earned. So here are some doubts which we could benefit her with. One, just basic courtesy to the other folks that were being considered. Ooh, starting soon. The other being, she could have been anguishing over it for good reasons. Like, look, I need to win this thing. So, can I win with Walz? Apparently the answer she came back with is yes. All right, looks like yes. And history is made and a new chapter begins. Let's watch for a little bit. Yeah! Oh, yes.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, it is good to be back in Pennsylvania.
Well, that's a happy crowd.
So, let me say, on behalf of myself and the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband, Doug Emhoff.
Yeah! That's going to be the best effing job in the world.
with all of the friends, all of the leaders who are here. I want to thank former Governor Ed Rendell.
Isn't it nice not to be nervous during one of these?
Bob Casey, who we will re-elect this November. Senator John Fetterman.
Ooh, boo, boo.
Mayor Sherelle Parker. And Chairman Jamie Harrison. And it is so good to be here with your incredible Governor, Josh Shapiro.
Now, see, that's a wise move. Still being gracious.
And I will say, Josh is a dear, dear friend and an extraordinary leader. He and I have been spending a lot of time together over the years. And I am so invested in
I'm gonna do a little justice on that volume.
because together with Josh Shapiro, we will win Pennsylvania. We will win Pennsylvania. And I thank you, Josh. I thank you. So Philadelphia, I launched my campaign for the President of the United States a mere 2 weeks ago. And it's been a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just last night, the delegates to the Democratic National Convention finished voting. And so,
Ooh, this feels good.
I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
We got a chance, folks. We might just save this thing.
And so now we got some work
The
to
Earth.
do. We need to move to the general election and win that.
Yeah. Good. Good priorities.
And to all the friends, listen, we also need to level set. We are the underdogs in this race. But we have the momentum, and I know exactly what we are up against. Now, many of you know, before I was elected vice president or elected a United States senator, I was an elected attorney general, and before that, elected district attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor.
A rare moment in history where this is going to excite
So
progressives.
in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds.
Yes.
Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who scammed consumers.
Yeah, she's replaying this hit, but she knows she's got a bigger audience right
Their
now.
own game.
She wants to make sure that the whole country hears this. Fair enough.
So hear me when I say,
Yeah! She knows we've heard it.
I know Donald Trump's type.
She's got charisma. She's good at selling this message to America. And by the way, good. America needs it.
So, let me just say. Let me say.
I'm saying Camilla? That's Kamala. Oh, lock him up.
Our campaign
Never mind.
is not just a fight against Donald Trump. Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future.
That was really smart of her just now, by the way. Also, some of that prosecutor experience coming into play. Like, no.
Pennsylvania, we
Not my job to
fight
lock him up.
for a future with affordable housing, affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave.
Boom. Redirecting it. Take all that energy, put it towards how are we going to build things.
We build a broad-based economy opportunity to own a home, to start a business, and to build wealth.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent.
We fight for a future where we bring down prices that are still too high and lower the cost of living for America's families. So that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead.
Yes.
We fight for a future where we defend our most fundamental freedoms. The freedom to vote. The freedom to be safe from gun violence.
She did say that a little weird. Gun violence. But okay.
Who you love openly and with pride.
Boom! This is basic stuff we should have had at the turn of the century, but I'm glad we're getting there.
The freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body.
Stuff we should have had
Government tell her what to do.
for the entirety of this country's existence, but again, glad we're getting there.
So here's the thing. Since the day that I announced my candidacy, I set out to find a partner who can help build this brighter future. A leader who will help unite our nation and move us forward. A fighter for the middle class. A patriot who believes, as I do, in the extraordinary promise of America. A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice, not just for some, but for all. So, Pennsylvania, I'm here today because I found such a leader.
Ah!
Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
Listen to the joy in this crowd. The cheers are not just anger anymore.
To those who know him best, Tim is more than a governor. To his wife, Gwen, he is a husband. To his kids, Hope and Gus, he is a dad. To his fellow veterans, he is Sergeant Major Walz.
Fair enough.
To the people of southern Minnesota, for 12 years, he was congressman. To his former high school students, he was Mr. Walz. And to his former high school football players, he was coach. Coach. And in 91 days,
give me that good stuff.
the nation will know Coach Walz by another name, Vice President of the United States.
Anybody else feel energized?
So America, to some folks, they're just getting
It is the coffee, but it ain't just the coffee.
And I'll tell you, he is the proud product of a middle-class family in rural Nebraska. He is a veteran who served our nation in uniform for more than 2 decades as a member of the Army National Guard, and he went to college on the
See,
GI Bill.
this is the way you sell things to centrists. Because if you're a centrist, you don't actually understand policy. A centrist in America, you don't understand policy. So you say, look, he's a veteran teacher, yada, yada, yada. I know you won't get policy if I sit down and tell it to your face. So here's the shorthand for things he's all about.
Coach Walz his
And in the
wife
case of the
Walz,
Democrats, it actually happens to be true, as opposed to Republicans, where
they both took jobs at the local high
it's just the particular flavor of con.
Coach Walz taught social studies, Gwen taught English. After school, Tim was the linebackers coach for the football team. Where I've heard the stories about he had a knack for using the game of football to teach life lessons. He saw
Again, shorthand for centrists. Let her cook.
Sometimes didn't even see it in themselves.
Tim Walz dressed excellently today. Good color coordination.
Under those Friday night lights, Coach Walz motivated his
You see, we're
players
wearing the same color
to
suit and tie,
believe they
so
could achieve anything. And together, they
the joke
defied
being that I've
odds.
complimented myself.
Hear this out. Going from a winless record to the school's first ever state championship.
I mean, this actually does track, because he's passed some progressive legislation with a 1-seat majority in his state. Could be a coincidence, or it could be that he's actually that good at managing a little advantage, turning it into a big advantage.
And I'll say and I'll add, Tim wasn't only a role model on the football field. Around that same time, Coach Walz was approached by a student in his social studies class. The young man was one of the first openly gay students at the school and was hoping to start a gay-straight alliance.
Ah, yes.
At a time when acceptance was difficult to find for LGBTQ students, Tim knew the signal that it would send to have a football coach get involved.
That's an actual decent thing he's done as a human being. What she's talking about now is not just hollow messaging for centrists. That's actual proof that he's willing to get off his butt and help people that need it. That's a sign of his character right there. Not something he did for a paycheck. It's something he did out of decency.
And as students have said, he made the school a safe place for everybody. In the high
My
school
heart
yearbook,
feels full,
the students voted Coach
and my
Walz
arm feels
the
numb.
most
Uh-oh.
Inspiring faculty member. And as I think everyone here can see, Tim Walz was the kind of teacher and mentor
Sandy!
every child in America dreams of having. And that
We got
every
Environmental
kid
Coffee
deserves.
House in the house. One of the 4 members of Left Past
Kind
10.
of coach, because he's the kind of person who makes people feel like they belong and then inspires them to dream big. And that's the kind of vice president he will be.
Excellent. Good on you. Let's read this from Environmental Coffee House. I'm on the family chat with my brothers, my daughter, and my mom, and everybody is energized watching this. Yes. Yes. Oh, by the way, it's fine. It was just a heart attack.
Students who actually helped him decide to run for office. And he served 12 years in Congress, representing a purple district as he reached across the aisle to get things done. He was the highest ranking enlisted man to ever serve in the United States Congress.
Richard Hinckley, contrast to shut the hell up about Pikachu, son. I'm talking to America's Hitler. Yeah. Yeah.
And the top Democrat on the Veterans Committee.
Pinkerbell, playing up how wholesome he is the right way to go. Agreed.
Hill's best marksman.
Okay.
Winning a bipartisan
Donald James. There's probably a few good things I don't know about Tim. I'm sure.
In Washington, Tim worked to raise the minimum
Donald
wage
James, I can't live stream video while also taking guests. That's a limitation of StreamYard. So I'd love to have Sandy on. Sandy has an open invitation pretty much every show, but I literally can't take guests on this one because this
the Affordable Care Act.
is a live video. Happening now.
Which, of course, gave health insurance to tens of millions of Americans. I'm gonna
Boom.
tell you, when we win, Tim and I will continue to make the Affordable Care Act even stronger.
Make it stronger until it's universal health care. Yes, indeed. By the way, if we had a win in Detroit in the 13th district of Michigan today, that becomes one vote more likely. But we can do it in increments as well. Let's just get there by any means necessary, which includes boring means. Everybody says any means necessary, and they're like, yeah, put on your beret and run out into the hills with an Uzi or whatever. No, any means necessary also means working with boring-ass centrist Democrats. Any means, including lame ones.
And take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people
There.
with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was like? Children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. Well, Governor Walz and I will not let that happen. Because we believe health care should be a right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it.
Pinkerbell, I was late to see your comment, but yes.
As governor, Tim has continued to fight for working families. He secured paid leave for workers in Minnesota. And he refused, as governor, to allow any student in their public schools to go hungry. So he made school breakfast and lunch free for every child.
Let's do it in the whole country. Federal program, free for every kid. Let's go. I love this. The potential of this ticket.
About many things, including when our middle class is strong, America is strong.
Heads up. The Harris campaign just listened to what we had to say about the vice presidential pick. We should be excited, very excited, about Tim Walz's best policies because they will become Kamala Harris's basic policies. They will be added to the repertoire. Be vocal about the things you like. Feed the kids. Heal the sick. You know, stuff Jesus would have liked.
In this moment, we are witnessing a full-on attack against hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. Take reproductive freedom. Now think about this.
They did.
Donald Trump said he wants to punish women.
Facts.
And as a result of his actions, today in America, 1 out of 3 women live in a state with a Trump abortion ban. 1 out of 3.
Good Lord.
Some of these
Yeah, that happened
go
quick.
Back to the 1800s. Even before women had a right to vote. They Think about that.
You want to know how fast your rights can get taken away? 1 out of 3 states, 1 out of 3 women live in a state with an abortion ban.
We're not going back.
3 years ago. 3 years? Yeah, 3 years ago, there was no abortion bans. I mean, there was no such thing as an abortion ban. There was a right to abortions. Do not let Republicans win anything ever again. Not in your town, not in your state, not in your backyard, not in your front yard, not 5 minutes over that way. Never again. They cannot be trusted to govern.
To stand against these attacks long before he stood on the stage with me. After Roe was overturned, he was the first governor in the country to sign a new law that enshrined reproductive freedom as a fundamental right.
Boom. That's Tim Walz. Build up walls. Build up walls.
By my side when I am president of the United States and we win majorities in the United States Congress, we will pass a bill to restore reproductive freedom, and I will proudly sign it into law.
Boom. You want your rights back? There's your ticket. You want the government to not be able to interfere with your literal guts?
Also defended the sacred freedom to vote.
There's your ticket.
As governor, he signed the most
Libertarians,
significant
go vote for those two.
expansion of voting rights in Minnesota in over 50 years.
If you don't want a chip forcibly inserted into your brain, that's where we're at, because the principle for that kind of stuff lies in the abortion ban.
Voting Rights Act
Boom!
and the Freedom to Vote Act.
America acting like a democracy. Who would have thunk it?
So Tim is a hunter and a gun owner who believes, as the majority of gun owners do, that we need reasonable gun safety laws in America.
Boom! Sick of seeing your presidential candidates getting shot at? Sick of seeing your kids get killed in school?
So as governor, he
Well, you might want to do some common sense gun legislation, as offered by
firearm sales.
Just gonna let her cook. She's crushing this.
In November, we are finally going to pass universal background checks,
Boom.
red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
Wicked Foxy Dragon hitting the nail on the head. Sad that all of this should be common sense. Yeah, it should be. Unfortunately, it is uncommon sense, which is why, thankfully, you're up on the internet doing your thing. So am I, and hopefully, we're going to get some
We can build
acceptable politicians to run things.
He has been a model chief executive, and with his experience, I'm telling you, Tim Walz will be ready.
Tom Trask, yes, Kamala is live. This is happening right now. Donald James X, yes, increased punishment. Good. Wicked Foxy Dragon, you are welcome to use colorful language.
In fact, when you compare his resume, shall we?
Yeah.
Running mate. Well,
Oh,
Well,
couch curvance.
some might say it's like a matchup between the varsity team and the JV squad.
I mean, I get it. It didn't land as well as the others, but fair enough. Accurate.
So, Pennsylvania, ultimately in this election, we each face a question.
Tom Trask, I'd take Walz over either Trump or Vance. Me too.
A country,
Mr. G, good to see you.
A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate. And here's the beauty of our democracy. We each have the power to answer that question. We each have the power to answer that question.
Del Sol Verde, not going back, agreed.
We love our country. And I believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country.
Yes.
That is how we preserve the promise of America. And after all, you know, the promise of America is what makes it possible for two middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California, who was raised by a working mother, the other a son of the Nebraska plains who grew up working on a farm.
City girl and farm boy. I like this. It's like a much more boring
only in America,
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
In America, is it possible
Only in
for them
America.
together to make it all the way to the White House?
Boom. There you go. This will either be
Only in America.
the high watermark for hope in America for about a decade, or
Only in America.
the beginning of the end of our misery. I hope it's the latter. Go vote. Sign up. Make sure the Republicans didn't kick you off the voter rolls. Go vote.
Coach Walz and I may hail from different
Vote as early as
parts of our
possible.
country, but our values are the
As well.
same. And we both believe in lifting people up, not knocking them down. He and I, we both know the vast majority of people in our country have so much more in common than what separates them. When we look at folks, we see in our fellow Americans neighbors, not enemies. Not enemies.
I don't, but hey, that's why it's better that she's running and I'm not.
And so my promise to you is this. Our campaign will reach out to everyone, from red states to blue states.
All right. I mean,
From the
yes,
heartland
that's good
to
strategy.
the coast, in rural, urban, suburban, and tribal communities. We are running a campaign on behalf of all Americans. And when elected, we will govern on behalf of all Americans.
Good. Good message, good principles.
And so, with Tim Walz by my side, and with all of you at our side, let us fight for the promise of our future. And with that, I ask Pennsylvania, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity?
I think so.
Believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win! And now, welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz.
It's a good moment. Don't you dare have a heart attack right now. Don't you dare. I will sprint across state lines, shove my hand into your chest, and restart your heart. Don't you dare.
Thank you, Madam Vice President, for the trust you put in me, but maybe more so, thank you for bringing back the joy. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you and Doug, this incredible journey. And Pennsylvania, I know you know this, but my God, what a treasure you have in Josh Shapiro.
See, this is smart. Stay friends. Stay friends.
Holy hell, can this guy bring the fire? He can bring the fire. This is a visionary leader. Also, I have to tell you, everybody in America knows when you need a bridge fixed, call that guy.
But when you need a dictator kept out of power, you call Walz.
And I think sometimes we forget and you see people a little one-dimensional, but seeing a guy who cares so deeply about his family, a man with compassion, vision, and I'll have to tell you this, I know this from experience, there is no one you would rather go to a Springsteen concert in Jersey with than him, than that guy. Roots! And I can't wait for all of you and America to get to know my incredible wife, Gwen, a 29-year public school educator.
Oh, yeah. He's good for the centrists.
Don't ever
good for everybody,
teachers.
but this is candy to those folks. Oh.
And our two beautiful kids, Hope and Gus. I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and to help Vice President Harris become what we all know is very, very good for us to think about. Next President of the United States of America. From her first day as a prosecutor, as a district attorney, Attorney General of the great state of California, a United States Senator, and Vice President of the United States.
Just reminding folks
Vice President Harris
of her resume
on the side of the American
for when Trump inevitably says another racist thing.
She took on the predators, she took on the fraudsters, she took down the transnational gangs, she stood up against powerful corporate interests, and she never hesitated to reach across the aisle if it meant improving people's lives.
Oh.
I want all of you to hold this, and don't ever underestimate the power of this. She does it all with a sense of joy.
Oh, that's such a good message. He's not just singing her praises. He's contrasting her against Trump ahead of time. Every time you hear something nice he's saying about her, later when you're seeing Trump, hopefully it comes to mind. It's a good strategy. He's a smart guy.
My mom and dad taught us, show generosity towards your neighbors and work for a common good.
Perfectly lovely message. His job, by the way, is to be as likable as possible now.
With his encouragement at 17,
he could do more, but he must do that. He must be likable. If ever there was a I would have a beer with him role, now is the time for that for Democrats.
The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves. And just as it did for my dad and millions of others, the GI Bill gave me a shot at a college education.
I hope we hear about how veterans are going to get some actual tangible benefits. Please go that
Dad
route.
was a teacher. My brothers and sisters and I followed in their footsteps. 3 out of 4 of us married teachers. What we do. For nearly 20 years, I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies and coaching football.
Hell of a second act for Walz.
Including winning that state championship. Don't ever close the yearbook. Don't ever. But it was my students. They encouraged me to run for office. They saw in me what I was hoping to instill in them, a commitment of common good, a belief that one person can make a difference. So in 2006, I took a leap and I ran for Congress. And because high school teachers are super optimistic, I was running in a district that had 1 Democrat since 1892. Well, my neighbors graced me with an opportunity to represent them in the United States House of Representatives.
So he's given obviously his backstory right now.
Across the aisle on veterans issues, on agriculture, and on ways to grow rural economies. I learned the art of compromise without compromising my values.
I don't like hearing compromise talk from Democrats, period.
And now, as governor of the great state of Minnesota,
But I understand what he's doing.
I bring those experiences to bear in tackling the challenges that are facing
He's
our
putting
great
people at ease who will have heard incorrectly that he's some wild lefty.
state. Our commitment to
Fair
working
enough.
together, to seeing past our differences, to always being willing to lend a helping hand. Those are the same values I learned on the family farm and tried to instill in my students. I took it to Congress and to the state capitol, and now Vice President Harris and I are running to take those very values to the White House.
Register if you're not already. Vote early if you can. Volunteer. Drop a few bucks to the progressives if you have the opportunity.
Trump sees the world a little differently than us.
Yep. Here we go.
First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service.
Boom.
He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself.
Boom.
Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks
Literally
our
true.
laws. He sows chaos and division, and that's to say nothing of his record as president. He froze in the face of the COVID crisis.
True. And a great
Drove
way to
our
put it.
economy into the ground.
He panicked and people
And
died.
make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump.
Boom. This guy's good.
That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Which include violent crime. I think that's the first time I've actually heard people acknowledge that in front of a microphone from the Democratic Party. My God. Good pick, Kamala. This gal is doing great so far.
You know,
Downplay the lock him up. Don't chant lock him up. Don't chant that. Good.
some of us
If you're at one of these things,
are
don't
old enough
fucking
to
chant lock him
remember.
up.
I see
That's
you
not
down
the
there.
politician's job. I
see
know.
those old white
I
guys.
know.
Some of us are old enough to remember.
But don't
But it
do
was
that.
Republicans who were talking about freedom.
Because we don't want it to look like they're
It turns
saying,
out now,
I'm going to put them
what
in
they
jail
meant
if you
was the
elect me.
government should
That's
be
not
free
why we
to
elect
invade
these
your
people.
doctor's office.
They can't promise that, and they shouldn't promise that.
In
All right, back to
Minnesota,
the
we
good
respect
feelings.
Our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Boom.
These guys are after my heart chanting, mind your own damn business. That feels good, so thank you. Look, that includes IVF, and this gets personal for me and my family. When my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope.
I mean, just his family alone makes him a powerful person to run against the current Republican Party.
When Vice President and
Wife was a teacher,
talk about freedom,
had IVF treatments. Kid's name is Hope.
And for our children to be free to go to school.
He won the progressives over with policy already. I'm looking at this for centrists. Centrists need to hear this stuff. Centrists need to care about him too, and they will based on that. The facts of his life are opportunities to talk about why Republicans suck, and they do.
Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws.
You know how your kids are getting massacred? We're actually going to do something about that.
Vice President Harris,
the shame of America will be that it took 40 years for us to actually act. My entire life.
That's clean. Water that's pure. Communities that are safe.
This is a great ticket.
A place where we settle our political differences not through violence, but with our votes. And that's what this election's about. What direction will this country go in?
Freedom!
He's not going back. Well, Donald Trump would damn sure take us backwards. Let's be clear about that. And don't believe him when he plays dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 will do to restrict our freedoms.
He knows how to attack Republicans. That is perhaps his biggest strength. The whole weird thing, that came from Tim Walz. Don't believe Donald Trump when he's playing dumb.
He's going to pick up exactly where he left off.
I mean, he's method acting, but he does know what's in 2025.
It will be much, much worse.
Yes, sir.
Raising costs on middle-class family.
Take it, Tim.
He will repeal the Affordable Care Act, no doubt about it. He'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And when somebody tells you are, they believe him. He said he'd ban abortion across this country, and he'll do it, whether or not Congress is there or not. Donald Trump's not fighting for you or your family. He never sat at that kitchen table like the one I grew up at, wondering how we were going to pay the bills. He sat at his country club up in Mar-a-Lago, wondering how he can cut taxes for his rich friends. And I got to tell you,
oh, just great. Excellent.
His dangerous and backward agenda for this country.
Yes, God, I hope we get a VP debate. Can you imagine?
J.D. Vance literally wrote the foreword for the architect of the Project 2025 agenda.
That's a fact, folks.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale.
Nina Canadian, football coach gives him a cool edge. Yes, it does.
And then wrote
I mean, for a politician, yeah.
Come on. That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that they keep saying, come on. Come on. Come get a piece. I want to see Democrats with some fight in them, and that's what we have. Harris Walz 2024, baby.
That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up.
Ah!
You see what I did there?
Ooh, he's playing it close to the line, but he's not wrong. For the record, we all know that is a joke. It's just a joke rumor. Not a real thing. But J.D. Vance definitely looks like a couch fucker.
I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
Yep. Oh, he's eating this up, and he deserves it. He deserves it. Have seconds. Have thirds. America's been starving for Democrats with some fight.
We aren't going back.
We aren't going back.
We aren't going back. We are not going back.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got 91 days. My God, that's easy.
Yes.
We'll sleep when we're dead.
Happy Warriors. This is what we needed. Oof. Get it, baby.
Over those next 91 days and every day in the White House, I'll have Vice President Harris's back.
Yes.
And we'll have yours.
He kind of effed that up a little bit. He should have said President Harris is back, but okay.
You know how this works.
No, it's probably
We can't
smart,
do it
actually.
alone. We need you, each and every one of you. Go over to KamalaHarris.com, get on board, because we need you. Freedom to make our own choices. This leader, this compassionate, careful, joyous leader believes in each and every one of you. My God, you came here tonight to sit at the very top because you love this country and you're not going back.
Letting the people at home who cannot see what he can see understand how full the stadium is. Smart effing
She believes
guy.
in the opportunity for every single person to join the
Or
middle
maybe
class.
cunning is the word for Walz. Cunning guy.
We just got to fight. We just got to fight. Because as soon to be President Harris says, when we fight, we win.
And that's why, by the way, I'm happy Harris is at the top of the ticket.
Thank you, Philadelphia.
Because she's
Thank you,
organically
Vice President.
been able to make a lot of this stuff
God
happen.
bless America.
Yeah! Yeah! Great energy. Great energy. Oh. Gang, we got a ticket. Let's see what the Wicked community has to say. Del Sol Verde. Told you. Fair. Fair enough. Wicked Foxy Dragon. Someone should tell Vance it isn't called a love seat for naughty reasons. Environmental Coffee House. We will sleep when we're dead. Laughing emoji. Yeah. It's so good. Han Solo. Let's go. Donald James X. Great observation. Genuine energy. Yeah. Pinkerbell, I'm pumped. Let's do this. Foxy, I literally wanted to stand up and clap. Yeah. Nina Canadian. He's an astute guy. I think that's the right word. Because I'm not talking about, like, can he sit down and do math calculations? I'm talking about, can he read a room and react to the people in that room in an appropriate way? And to be clear, Kamala Harris can do that. She's demonstrated that. But we already knew that about her. We really didn't want her to get a VP pick. That ruined that. And no. Tim Walz is cut from the same cloth. Although, for the record, one was a governor The other was Once Upon a Time a prosecutor. I'm sure that they're much smarter than your old pal Jake, but that wasn't what I was interested in. I was interested in people skills, basically. Selena Mary, that was great. I agree. Environmental Coffee House. Oh my God, I agree with this as well. It feels good to feel good for once. Yes. Donald James X, the poll numbers are going up as we speak. I agree. And speaking of, this has I'm going to be on again in about 2 hours. I think in 2 hours. This has been WYCD Wicked, that stands for what you can do. I've been Jake, and I continue to be Jake. Most often I'm Jake, and this is Donald James X.